So today we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, first canto, chapter 13, text number 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Ajata Shratu Krita Maitra Huta Agni Vipran Natva Tila Gobhumi Rukmai Griham Pravishta Guru Vandanaya Na Cha Apashyat Pitaro Saubalim Cha Ajata Shatru Krita Maitra Hutagnir Vipranatvatila Gobhumi Rukmai Grihang Pravishta Guru Vandanaya Nyachapashat Pitara Saubalim Cha Ajata never born, Shratru enemy, Krita having performed, Maitra worshipping the demigods, Huta Agni and offering the fuel in the fire, Vipran the Brahmanas, Natva offering obeisances, Antila Gobhumi Rukmai along with grains, cows, land and gold. Griham within the palace, Pravishta having entered into, Guru Vandanaya for offering respect to the elderly members. Na did not, Cha also, Apasyat see, Pitaro his uncles, Saubalim Gandhari Cha also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Yudhisthira, whose enemy was never born, performed his daily morning duties by praying, offering fire sacrifice to the sun god, and offering obeisances, grains, cows, land, and gold to the Brahmins. He then entered the palace to pay respects to the elderly. However, he could not find his uncles or aunt, the daughter of King Subala. Purport. Maharaj Yudhisthira was the most pious king because he personally practiced daily the pious duties for the householders. The householders are required to rise early in the morning, and after bathing, they should offer respects to the deities at home by prayers, by offering fuel in the sacred fire. Of course, for us, that's the ghee wicks. We don't do Agnihotra. By giving the Brahmanas charity, land, cows, grains, gold, etc., and at last offering to the elderly members due respects and obeisances. One who is not prepared to practice injunctions prescribed in the Shastras cannot be a good man simply by book knowledge. Modern householders are practiced at different modes of life, learning to rise late and then take bed tea without any sort of cleanliness and without any purificatory practices as mentioned above. The household children are taken to practice what the parents practice, and therefore the whole generation glides towards hell. Nothing good can be expected from them unless they associate with sadhus. Like Dhritarashtra, the materialistic person may take lessons from a sadhu like Vidura and thus be cleansed of the effects of modern life. Maharaj Yudhisthira, however, could not find in the palace his two uncles, namely Dhritarashtra and Vidura, along with Gandhari, the daughter of King Subal. He was anxious to see them and therefore asked Sanjaya, the private secretary of Dhritarashtra. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Sabadutam Birijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Ladita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashadjadeshatarine. So here is a very striking contrast between the Grihastha and the Grihamedi, the spiritual householder and the materialistic householder. Very clear distinction. The spiritual householder, the Grihastha, he must rise early in the morning. He offers prayers just like we rise here early in the morning before dawn. We take bath. We sing the Gravastakam prayers before Srila Prabhupada and before Sri Radha Damodar. In this way, this is the standard for Grihastha. You see? Sleeping late, this is Grihamedi. I remember growing up in Karmi family, we took bath once a week when we went to church, and that was it. The whole week we were dirty. We get up in the morning, we were dirty. I thought my dad was some kind of a nut because he took a shower every day. Oh, he's a nut. This was the mentality I grew up in. I mean, can you imagine going a whole week without bathing? And it's horrible. But that was my training. My mother also did that. We would take a bath, not a shower, but a bath once a week. Fill up the tub and get in there in the dirty water. I mean, it's just so gross when you think about it. Materialistic household, it's so dirty. Taking a bath once a week? Wow. So why do you have to take bath, one may ask? I mean, I don't feel that dirty. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Just like our van was really dirty, when the firemen came, all that smoke water, it seeped down, it was raining all over the car. It was really dirty, and we were so busy we didn't have time to wash it. But now when it's clean, it feels so much nicer to ride around in it. You feel a little good. Prabhupada said that when he was a child in the Scottish Churches College, or maybe it was the Multi-Law Seal School when he was an elementary student. He said in the auditorium, the seats were so clean, you felt good just sitting in the seats. So this cleanliness is actually very good. It brings you to the mode of goodness. You feel jolly and happy just being in a clean atmosphere. And then in that atmosphere, you see you're not so inclined to think about dirty things, like, lust, anger, greed. In a clean atmosphere, you're more naturally more inclined to think about meditating on the beautiful qualities of Krishna, you see. The wonderful Krishna. Anganniyasha sakalendriya vittimanti pasyanti panti kalayanti charam jaganti. In this way, ananda chinmayastadujvala vigrahasya govindam adipurusham damaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus filled up with the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. See, when you're clean, you've risen early, you've taken bath, instead of thinking about making money or engaging in sense gratification, which is rajas tamas, you see, you can think about the wonderful Krishna, the beautiful Krishna. I just read one of the most amazing things I've ever read in Prabhupada's books this morning. Just like, we've often heard that prayer from the Goswamis, Hey Radhe Vrajadevike Chaladite Hinanda Sunukutaha. They're wondering about Vrindavan. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And Prabhupada explains, even nowadays, of course he wrote this 50 years ago, but it may be true now still, but he was saying even nowadays there are people wandering in Vrindavan searching for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? You think, well, here I am in Austin. Where is my facility to wander in Vrindavan looking for Krishna? I'm stuck here. I got my job. I have my duties. What's my position? I'm so far from Vrindavan, halfway around the globe to Vrindavan. But Prabhupada, this is really a wonderful purport. Prabhupada says Vrindavan is in the heart. And so one can search for Krishna even here. You don't have to be in Vrindavan to do that. You can do the same thing the Goswamis were doing. You can do it right here in Austin, Texas, or Kaunas, Lithuania, or wherever you may be. Riga, Latvia, you see. Wherever you may be, you can search for Krishna in your heart. Just like the Goswamis were searching for Krishna. And Prabhupada, it's not that we sit back and watch Radha and Krishna have their Leela like some spectator sport, Prabhupada said. But no, it's that mood of separation. That's what we're trying to cultivate. Not we would enjoy it like some entertainment. Come on, Radha and Krishna, entertain me, Do some Leelas for me to entertain me, like going to a movie. Not like that. Actually, one foolish devotee, he wrote a song like that. He said, "Little boy boo, come toot your flute, come toot your flute, come play us a tune." Like Krishna is his, his entertainer. It's not that mood, not that mood. The mood of separation. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Prabhupada actually told the Beatles to write songs of separation from Krishna. And only one Beatle took him up on it. That was George Harrison. You see, my sweet Lord, I really want to see you. I really want to be with you. But it takes so long, my Lord. I want to see you. I want to be with you. But it takes so long. He's hankering. This is the mood to develop, you see. Hankering for Krishna. When will I see Krishna? When will I see him lifting the Govardhan hill? When will I see him doing the Rasa Leela? When will I see him playing a loud concert with his flute on the banks of the Jamuna? And tasting the beautiful lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels of Raja with his bumblebee-like eyes. When will I see that, you see? When will I behold that within my heart, you see? Hankering. The quote will be in tomorrow's Thought for the Day. If you want to see the exact quotes, you get it tomorrow in Thought for the Day. Very, very wonderful quote. And Prabhupada said the way to do it is by the tongue. Prabhupada, the way to qualify yourself is simply by engaging the tongue in Krishna's service, by tasting prasadam and chanting Hare Krishna. that day will come when Krishna says, "Here I am." Krishna will say, "Here I am." He will reveal himself to you. You see? Here I am. Prabhupada said, he'll say, "Here I am." Can you imagine that day? So now we're just hoping, waiting for that day, but we just keep chanting. And even if we're not there yet, we're enjoying the journey to get there. It's like it's so enlivening to go to Vrindavan, be in Vrindavan. But maybe when you're on the airplane, it's exciting. I remember the first time I went to Vrindavan was around 1980. There was about 60 or 70 devotees going together. And we actually had a whole section of the airplane, Air India. And the wallpaper, there was Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill on the inside of the airplane. It was really something. Of course, there was a few karmis who were stuck in the middle of us. They were... I remember one of them was kind of freaking out a little bit because Nirguna was reading Krishna book out loud, and he gave him a stare, But but even though we weren't in Vrindavan yet, you see, just to be with all those devotees on the way to Vrindavan, wow, it was so nectarian. We were all together. Even when we got to Bombay, we had to wait overnight. And I remember we had like an overnight, we all got together and we sang Gravastakam prayers in the terminal. One devotee had a madanga and we sang the Gravastakam prayers. So we weren't in Vrindavan yet, but still it was nectarian, you see. We were in Vrindavan in one sense, because wherever the devotees are together chanting the holy names, hearing and chanting the glories, well, that is Vrindavan. So if we take advantage of this wonderful Sankam, better bring some more water. If we take advantage of this wonderful, wonderful association, as we were discussing the other day with Vaisheshika Prabhu, Machchita madgata prana bodhayandak parasparam katyantaschamam nijyam tashyanti cha brahmanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered unto me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss by conversing about me. So, enlightening one another and conversing about me. So all we have to do is find some persons who would like to participate in this activity of hearing and chanting about Krishna and make very close relationship with them. Even if we have some personality differences, cultural differences, that doesn't matter. This transcends all personality differences and cultural differences. You see, this brings us together. Hearing and chanting about Krishna and serving Krishna. Service is actually hearing and chanting in action. It's just hearing and chanting manifests in service also. You see. So it's not that we just hear and chant. Service is also a type of kirtan. It's like you can glorify Krishna with your tongue, Hare Krishna, you see. Or you can glorify him with your hands, cutting those vegetables, or washing that pot, or taking out the garbage. Now that's also kirtan. Doing kirtan with your body, you see. So what are the three rods of the sannyas danda? Actually, the fourth rod ended, but they're called Tridandi Goswamis. Mataji discussed this yesterday in her lecture. Mind, body, and words, you see. It's vacha. So your words, you glorify Krishna. And your body also, by engaging in service, that's also kirtan, with your body, you see. And then if your mind... If your words and your body are engaged in Krishna consciousness, then what will happen to your mind? Automatically your mind becomes fixed, you see. And that's the ultimate goal, is the mind is completely fixed. Prabhupada indicates that in his purport actually to that verse we studied on Sunday, 10:9. In the beginning, he says, we relish the nectar from the service itself. And then in the advanced stage, just Krishna consciousness alone is sufficient. You see. In other words, as neophytes, we're not able to just fix our mind on Krishna. We need to actually engage our bodies, our words, you see, actively in doing things. We need to talk about Krishna, do service for Krishna. By these activities, you see, and by relishing these activities, then the mind becomes purified more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And then finally, in the advanced stage, you can just be, even if they locked you in a prison, you're just sitting there in the prison, you'd be completely in bliss, oblivious to the fact that you're in prison, just thinking about Krishna. You see? That's all you need. In advanced stage, all you have to do is think about Krishna. And there's no attachment to sense gratification at that stage, you see. You're just totally absorbed in Krishna Smaranam. Krishna. In your mind, you can. That's a very advanced stage. We cannot imitate. Can you do some service? Oh no, I'm just meditating on Krishna. I don't need to do any service. You say, no, for us neophytes, we have to do service. Just talking is good, but it's balanced. Talking about Krishna is very good, but it has to be balanced. There was one boy in our Riga temple. He came to the temple. He just wanted to do Krishna Katha all day long. And he was a very attractive preacher. And he'd get all the brahmacharis, you may remember him. He'd get all the brahmacharis to come and stop doing their service and sit down and talk about Krishna all day. And he was determined, no, this service is not very important, we'll just talk about Krishna. So the temple authorities had no choice, they had to ban him from the temple. He was disrupting the service with his Krishna Katha sessions. Even though he's a very attractive speaker, he was completely disrupting the temple activities. And I think now he's learned his lesson. He's learned his lessons now. So that attraction for hearing and chanting it has to be balanced. It has to be also in action as well. Hearing and chanting in action. So if you balance it very nicely, hearing and chanting, we have our japa, we have our classes. Whenever there's any spare time, read the books, talk about Krishna consciousness. Any spare time you have, always utilize it to hear, chant, and read. You see, every minute of your spare time, use it for hearing, chanting, and reading. And then we do our duties nicely in a first-class way, trying to become more and more expert in all the service that needs to be done. Whatever service we're given or whatever service needs to be done. We should see what service needs to be done, but whatever service we are given, we should concentrate. All right, I've been asked to do this, let me make sure to do it. Not that we neglect what we've been asked to do and take up other things. The first business, whatever service we've been given, let me do that in a first-class way to the best of my ability. And then we'll become very proficient. The one that serves nicely, the more they'll have a taste for hearing and chanting also. And the more you hear and chant nicely, the more you'll be enlivened for service. So they actually increase each other. Let's say I'm a lazy fellow, I don't like to do service. Some of us have that problem. Lazy fellow. Prabhupada had warned, hey, don't be a lazy fellow. Most of us were hippies. We were lazy fellows. So Prabhupada said, don't be a lazy fellow, you see. But because we were so inspired by Prabhupada, we would do anything to please him. So we learned how to work hard for Prabhupada, you see. We didn't like working jobs, many of us. But working for Prabhupada, that was a new thing. That's love, you see. It was drudgery before, working job, some karmic boss. But then working for Prabhupada, that's love. It's a whole new thing, a whole new world. That lazy fellow now, he's working very hard, 24 hours a day, you know. And super enlivened, even though it's very intense. He's super enlivened by working hard for Prabhupada. So if we learn how to serve nicely, our taste for hearing and chanting will become astronomically exponentialized, and vice versa. So, do the service in a first-class way, hear and chant in a first-class way, in that mind will become more and more purified. It's like a mirror that's covered with many, many layers of dust. The mirror of the mind will gradually become completely pure, and then Krishna will say, "Here I am." And when and now not only "Here I am," but then you actually enter into relations, into loving rasa with Krishna. You realize your sarupa as a gopi, as a gopa, as a parent, as a friend, as a servant, or a neutral relationship like a flute. You actually realize your relationship with Krishna and enter into an active, dynamic interactions with Krishna. Relationship. You actually have an active, dynamic relationship with Krishna, engaging with him in pastimes. You become part of Krishna's pastimes, the highest stage. So, now here we are, neophytes, kindergartners on the path, you see. We're hardly even in the first grade yet. We're just kindergartners. But we just had to stick with this process. And you stick with the process, follow Prabhupada's instructions, follow your guru's orders, you see. If you stick with this process, the greatest reward is awaiting you. The greatest reward is awaiting you. So now we'll open it up for questions. You'd like to make some additional points?
Not additional point, but I have a question.
Question, okay.
He said that we gave the example of the devotee in Riga who likes to talk. So all the service, everybody sits down, but they don't forget one service.
But
they don't forget one service. They can forget all other services, but they don't forget one service.
What's that? Prashadam? Prashada seva.
That they don't forget.
It's actually a nice service, but we have to,
So how that prashadam will come into the mouth, we give up other services.
The thing is, even for prashadam, somebody has to do the service. Somebody has to go earn the money to buy the bhoga. Someone has to drive to the grocery store, has to pick it, choose it all, go to the cash register, bring it back, store it, plan the menu, cut it. This is something that's called the kitchen religion, actually. So, if someone likes to eat prashadam, they should think, well, what can I do to help serve the prashadam to the devotees? You see, then he's becoming more mature. Like a little child, Prabhupada says at different levels, you see. A little baby, all he knows is eat, eat, eat. My mother's breast. Suck my mother's breast. And then gradually they go around and suck everything and see if there's some milk there. I'll suck the couch, I'll suck the telephone. He puts his mouth on everything to see if he can suck it and get something out of it. You see, he checks out everything. A little baby. So he has no conception of, he finds some food to share, finds something to share with his little brother, his big brother or whatever. You see. But gradually he comes to a higher position. He thinks of sharing it, you see. His conception of happiness expands just from his self-centered happiness to at least, to others. So, in the service mood, the enjoyment, actually, real service isn't, our real enjoyment is service. So in the beginning, we just think of serving ourselves, and then we realize I get more pleasure if I also try to serve others. So one has to be mature in understanding what is actual pleasure, you see. That actually to serve others prashadam, it's just eating it, then when I relish it becomes 1,000,000 times more delicious if I've served others. You see? So enjoying prashadam is great.
So I'm serving by chanting.
But the more I can distribute prashadam to others and help and arrange for others to get prashadam becomes even more delicious.
So I will just put it on the plate and eat also, and we will just put it on the plate. Just put it on the plate. That is also service. Everything is a service.
Exactly. That's right. So the more the service increases, the more the taste increases. That's my point. Okay? the more you increase the service, the taste of the name and the taste of the prasadam becomes more and more relishable.
But if I'm just sitting and hearing, but if I'm just sitting and chanting and hearing,
then you're called bhajananandi, you see, and you won't be able to conquer over your mind. In this age, unless you're Gorkashar Das Babaji, you try the bhajananandi path, you're not going to become enlightened. I'm sorry, you're not going to make it. We have to engage in service and we have to engage in preaching.
But that is also service, just hearing and chanting.
Okay, any other questions?
Someone can argue about that.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay.
So, Srila Gurudev, in this text, it was pointed out that Maharaj Yudhisthira had no enemies, and his enemy was never born. So, devotee we're not supposed to make anyone our enemy. But when we're trying to come up to the stage of a Madhyama Adhikari, we have to be able to distinguish and avoid those who will harm us. So, how do we avoid persons without thinking of them as enemies?
Actually, we don't label them as enemies. We say they are non-devotees. They are sometimes we say asura, a demon. We distinguish. We don't necessarily lay them as enemy. Demon, asura, like that. So we know that their association is not. The devotee doesn't see anyone as his enemy. He sees, Prabhupada says, the innocent victims of Maya. Devotee sees one enemy and one enemy only, and that's his mind. In other words, enemy means one who takes away your Krishna consciousness. So devotee, he's fixed in Krishna consciousness. He doesn't. It's like you go out on the street to distribute books. You don't see any. You're a friend of everyone, isn't it? The book distributor, the preacher, he's the friend of all living beings. Approaching everyone in a loving, friendly mood, he tries to help them. He doesn't see anyone as an enemy. He understands my enemy is my mind. So there are people who are demoniac. As soon as you say God, they immediately start yelling and blaspheming. Those people are demons. But they're not our enemy. They're enemies of themselves. They can't hurt our Krishna consciousness. Of course, if you associate with them unnecessarily, that can hurt your Krishna. That's your foolishness. If you try to preach to people who are blasphemous, that's your foolishness. You're your own enemy. So those who are blasphemous, we avoid them. We go to those, we pour, like Vaisheshika Prabhu was saying, when someone is open, you pour in the mercy. You don't pour in the mercy of somebody who's blasphemous, it just increase their blasphemy. But they're not our enemy. They're just not the candidate for the mercy right now. We tried to give them the mercy, but we saw they weren't, they're not ready for it. All right, let's see if somebody who's willing to take the mercy. They're not our enemy. They're their own enemy. Does that help?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I have continuation. But if somebody is senior devotee and we don't find them, they were instructing me or they're giving me some right, then should we see them as an enemy or how?
What is it?
Like we are engaged in the service somewhere, then the senior devotees, and we find there is something wrong and we avoid them. So is that seen as an enemy or taking them as enemy or what? No, one should not. That means
That means one's mind is enemy. That's it. If we think of Vaishnava as my enemy, then our mind is our enemy. Vaishnava is Krishna is Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, the best friend of all living beings. The Vaishnava is also Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, Prabhupada explained. So if I think the Vaishnava is my enemy, then I'm a fool and a rascal, number one. I'm an offender, actually, against the Vaishnava.
But those who may be giving wrong instructions, wrong guidance.
Oh, if some Vaishnava, if it's a Kanishta Vaishnava who's doing all nonsense, then we have to avoid them. Yeah, Prabhupada says that the devotees who are in the mode of ignorance, they should be avoided. But we still respect them from a distance. You see, we honor and respect them from a distance. Just like the Ritiks as an example, very blasphemous. They're trying to disrupt. A lot of those Narayan Maharaj followers who came to LA to leaflet the temple that ISKCON was bogus and everybody should leave ISKCON. They came to the temple, to go to the temple and pass out leaflets that ISKCON is bogus and you should leave ISKCON. Can you imagine? You see, but still we're thinking, well, at least they're chanting Hare Krishna. So we respect them for chanting Hare Krishna. Of course, we had to call the police, but at least we respect them that are chanting Hare Krishna. We think they're misguided, that's all. So we actually respect all living entities, and especially those who are chanting Hare Krishna. Even if they're misguided, we still respect them and honor them, but from a distance. Anything else? Yeah.
What is a proper balance between temple service and preaching? Because if there is not enough people, then they can all be engaged only sitting in the temple, not going out. So maybe can be...
Yes. That means you need to preach better, so you get more people. You can get more people willing to do service. You need to become a more advanced devotee, a purer devotee. You need to become a more powerful leader by developing more purity in your heart. That Krishna will send you unlimited help, both for temple service and for Sankirtan activities. That's how you should be thinking. This is my defect. I'm not qualified enough as a leader, so Krishna has only given me a small handful of people. So Krishna, please bless me that I can become completely pure, so that I can do something substantial here for making Krishna consciousness movement a grand success in Kaunas, Lithuania.
And in case if there is enough people, what the proper balance between temples?
Oh, if there's enough. The proper balance, Prabhupada told us the proper balance. He said, one man stay back to do the service, and everybody else go out and preach. That was the proper balance that Prabhupada gave. He wrote that in a letter, and I know they used to do that. It happened in the Houston temple. I was the one devotee that stayed back. Every other devotee in the temple went out all day long. After breakfast, the temple was a ghost town, just me alone and the deities. Me and Gaurnitai alone in the temple all day, every day, except on Sunday. I had to do everything. I had to, cook all the offerings, offer the artis, do all the transfers, answer the telephone, answer the door, priest, any guests who came. I had to do absolutely everything, cook the deity sweets. It was so intense. My only chance I got to read was once a week when I cooked the burfi. Only time I had to pick up a book. Once a week when I cooked the burfi. By Krishna's grace, I never burned it. The burfi came out nice every time, amazingly enough. So that's the proper balance. Have one devotee stay back and do all the service, and then send everybody else on Harinam and book distribution. Yeah.
Over the period of of time, isn't that frustrating for the one devotee?
Oh, you can rotate them. You can rotate that devotee in and out. Yeah, it was a little tough. I did it for a whole year. One time I wanted to mail a letter. The post office the box was 2 blocks away, and I actually got out of the temple to mail a letter. I was amazed. Wow, how did I do that? Special mercy from Krishna. I was able to get out of the temple for 10 minutes to mail a letter. That's how intense it was. Even 10 minutes. And sometimes it was so intensive I had to answer the call of nature because there was no time. One time did it between the offering and the arti, with a shower and everything, fresh tilak and everything, in 10 minutes. That's how intense it was. So yeah, you could rotate it. So the temple should not be a place for eating and sleeping, a free hotel that people just lounge around. The more you can have Harinam going out and book distribution. Of course you have extra things like the restaurant, that obviously you have to have more than one man. We didn't have a restaurant, it was just the deities. And there was I think some other devotee cooked the breakfast, I can't remember. But I think that there was just one meal they cooked, a big meal in the morning, and that was it. There was one meal. I think maybe the devotees, they took something out with them, I forget. But there was no lunch, big lunch. It's a small lunch for the deities, which I had to cook. So, the idea is minimize as far as possible devotees who do temple service and maximize devotees who go out for Harinam and book distribution as much as possible. And then you'll attract so many new devotees if you do them. And you can rotate devotees who stay back, that can be rotated. So everybody gets their chance for the supreme nectar of book distribution and Harinam. Shouldn't be a place for lying around and sleeping and eating, a free hotel, like a hippie pad, hippie commune, It shouldn't be like that. It should be a place where everybody is engaged. Not that they sleep during Mangal Arti and during the japa period and they sit in the Bhāgavatam class and chant their round. Well, I've seen one boy does sometimes in your temple. That's not the standard. He grows his beard out, chants japa in the class. He's friendly and nice boy, but of course he's senior to you, that's the problem. You're a junior manager. All your seniors been around longer than you.
He is not living in the temple.
He doesn't live in the temple. Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to get the service done nicely in a first class way. So it's up to you to see the practical thing, but that's the ideal standard that Prabhupada gave. One man stays back, everybody else goes out. All day. Their morning program, after breakfast, all day out on some kirtan, and come back for the evening program. Come back and take a shower for a Sundar Arti and then Bhagavad Gita class after that. And some hot milk, prasadam, Krishna book, and take rest. That's the ideal. It's the old ISKCON, the old school, traditional ISKCON standard that we used to do when Prabhupada was here. So, come as close as you can't neglect things, obviously. You have to do it. Come as close to the standard as you can. Yeah.
And in those days, service was very little, not so much. But now the big temples are there, so there is much service.
Now in Austin, the big temple is empty. Everybody's householders living out and doing their jobs. There's nobody even to go out on some kirtan. So that's why this weekend warrior thing that Vaisheshika Prabhu was spearheading in many ways is very good. There should be a program on the weekends for the devotees to go out, Saturday and Sunday, to go out on Harinam and book distribution on the weekends, because we have all the householders working jobs now. So this weekend warriors program is very good. Huh?
We are talking about the temples.
The temples are just, I've seen that there's just a small handful of devotees doing all the service. And there's no one else there that comes even the program, which is not good.
Places like Kaunas, there are some few hundred, the temples are big, but there are few hundred of devotees only.
Yeah, there's a very small skeleton crew living in the temple, yeah. Well, if there's a small skeleton, as I explained already, know the ideal and do what's practical. That's all. I made it very clear. Don't neglect the temple
how
service.
they get that opportunity?
Hare Krishna?
How the temple devotees who have been like working whole week, when they get the opportunity
For what?
for preaching?
For preaching? That's up to the manager to arrange. You can rotate them out. You should engage the devotees living outside in temple service as much as possible. I think you do that already. You get people coming in to do the service, not just the temple residents. I mean, everybody's a part of the community. No one should be thinking they're independent of the temple. Prabhupada says householders should not be dependent on the temple. That means they don't get money from the temple. Nor should they be independent of the temple. The householders should be just as much a part of the temple activity as the residents of the temple. The householders living outside see just as much a part of the temple activities as the residents. You can even have meetings. The whole community gets together, managerial, called Ishtagoshti. We used to have those in Dallas, I remember years ago, with Satsarupa Maharaj. Every Sunday night, we'd have Ishtagoshti. Prabhupada instituted it. But it's like a meeting. It's not like a class, but it's a meeting. You get together, you can talk about Krishna. Actually, we used to use it for managerial issues. How to organize everything, and we work together as a family. Any problems that we're having, somebody's having a difficulty, all these things can be brought into a meeting. It's like a managerial meeting where the whole community gets together. Community is like a town hall meeting they have in some small towns. Anybody's welcome to come to the town hall meeting to discuss the issues of the community. So you can have your community hall meeting. You have your community president, Kedarnath Prabhu. You're the temple president, he's the community president. You can have community meetings. We get together and talk how we can increase this movement here in Kaunas, Lithuania. Like every month or every week. Every week is ideal. Community meetings where everybody, not just classes, but a community meeting where you get together and discuss how to increase the service in the temple, how to increase the book distribution, how to increase Harinam, how to increase the level of happiness and the spiritual advancement of all the devotees. See, these can be regular meetings, community meetings you can have. Yes?
Shri Gurudev, what one should do if he, if he first time meets Krishna face to face? What to speak, what to do?
Don't worry. When in doubt, just offer your obeisances. Thing is, sometimes it's described in the books that someone, they're completely perplexed what to do. Krishna has revealed himself. Actually, the real reality is if you're qualified to see Krishna, you're qualified to know what to do when you see him also. Not that you have to say, well, my guru told me what I'm supposed to do. No. If you're qualified to Krishna to reveal himself, you'll know what to do. What's the confirmation? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam patipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama payanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give them the understanding with which they can come to me. So Krishna will give you all intelligence. If you're pure enough to see Krishna, you'll be pure enough to know exactly what you should do. There won't be any problem. When you realize your rasa, your swarupa, you'll be spontaneously engaged in your original activities with Krishna. Just like a boy and girl, how do they know what to do? You don't have to tell a boy and girl what to do when they get together. They automatically know how to have nice, good times, loving times together, you see. The boy and girl come together. You don't have to instruct them. Prabhupada gives that example, So when you realize Krishna, you don't have to be instructed what to do. You'll spontaneously engage with Krishna according to your original sarupa, your original rasa. You automatically, spontaneously do it. This is called ragatmika bhakti. When you're reestablished in your relationship with Krishna. There will be a certain stage, of course, we're getting overtime now, okay. All right. So we'll stop here, and we thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai.